my name is Ioana and I'm the Age UK RBH watercolor tutor. I'm very excited to share with you today how to paint a chestnut. I hope you're ready, so let's get started. Hello, and thank you very much for joining. I hope you'll enjoy this tutorial on how to paint a chestnut. On my walk in the park today, I found these and I thought they were very appropriate for the painting class and also for the time of the year. So I brought them here as inspiration and I'm going to show you how we can paint this together. For our painting, we're going to need one brush. I have a medium-sized brush with a pointy tip, water, a scrap piece of paper, paint. They can be whatever watercolor paints you prefer. And one thing that I also want to have handy would be a tissue. I normally have a tissue nearby ready to use because whenever I find that there is a mistake or something that I don't like, I can just tap this over and it will lift off the color. I'm going to start with my drawing stage using very thin watered down yellow. This is helping me find the overall shape and the overall place for my painting, and then once I'm happy with it, I can go on and add color. I'll get plenty of water on my brush, tap into some yellow, check that my yellow is not too thick, not too pigmented, and then I would like my painting to be around here. So I'm making one big circle. This is going to be both case areas as well as my chestnut. And then let's move this more towards here. I'm going to add a smaller circle around here, roughly. I'm using this as inspiration. They wouldn't have to look exactly the same. So this is the overall place and the overall shape for my painting. Next, what I can do is use a little bit more yellow, water it down, make sure it's not too thick because I'm still only deciding on the design. And within my big circle, I'm going to make a smaller one. This is going to be the chestnut. And it's not a perfect circle, as you can see. It's a bit more relaxed, a more fluid shape. Next, I'm going to add even more yellow. Make sure it's nice and watered down. Check it on my scrap piece of paper. And I'm going to divide the back. So this is going to be one case, and then my second case will be this one. I'm also going to break them here with one line and create something that would resemble an inverted V shape. Now you would think, but what happens with the lines that we've already created? Well, this is where our tissue comes in very, very handy. Clean up the brush, just add water, and then, only holding water on the brush, bring the water onto the areas that you want to erase. And then using the tissue, tap the tissue and you'll see that both the lines and the color is going to be lifted off. We're going to do the same here. Wonderful. Now I'm going to add a bit more yellow and I'm going to add the lines of the casing inside my chestnut. So here and another one here. And I think we're ready to add a little bit of green. So next time you clean your brush, get some of your yellow, add it to your scrap piece of paper where you can also combine colors, and then add a little bit of green, mix it in nicely, and we're going to paint the outside case. Like so. Also adding a few spikes. Lovely. Add some green and then add a few spikes. So just drag some color outwards. Next off, we're going to add a little bit of beige and we're going to fill in the inside of our case. You can add pigment to suggest shade and then water the color down and this will suggest light. Like so. I will next add a little bit of orange a little bit of brown and water it down. And I'm going to paint the opening of my case. As I can see, my painting is still fairly wet, so I'll allow this to dry a little bit before I come back and add another layer. Lovely! I'll combine some brown, clean up the brush, get a little bit of a reddish brown on my scrap piece of paper, water it down, then I'm going to paint, finally, my chestnut, allowing it to have a side that's brighter, this edge. So I'm going to add my brown. I'm going to add exactly the same color to my other chestnut that I've just added on the floor. I'm going to add a little bit of beige to my brown, and I'm going to add it to my bright area of the chestnut. Like so. I'll do the same with my smaller chestnut, which is on the floor. Beautiful. The next step would be to add some brown to the brush, make sure it's watered down, and then we're going to create a bit of a shadow. So add it to the bottom of your painting. This is going to make your painting look like it's more stable rather than floating on the page. And you should also bring your beautiful drawing a little bit forward. So closer up. Next up, it's what's probably the most difficult step so far, and that would be to let this dry. So just wait, take a break, have a cuppa, and come right back into it. When your painting is no longer shiny, that's when you know you can move on to the next layer. Now, if you're happy with the shape and the painting, you can add even more color and make your drawing stand out a little bit more. I'm going to combine 2 shades of green, and I'm going to emphasize the outline. You can add more pigment now rather than a watered down version, and you can really emphasize the spine. Add a little bit of brown to the tips of your stings and also to the outline of the outer case. Make sure your painting is dry and then very gently paint the edges of the opening of the case using the very tip of the brush. Lovely. Let's do the same onto the other side. So, cleaning the brush, adding the green that you'd like to add, a bit of a stronger nuance here, reinforcing the outlines of your spikes. Of course, if your first layer was already quite pigmented, just keep this point, or if you prefer the thinner layers, just keep this. Work on adding in the outlines. Add a little bit of brown to the tips of each sting, and just like we did on the other side, making sure that this is dry, work on the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is still a very artistic and organic painting. It just has to be enjoyable and relaxing. I like to add this darker brown to the areas that I want to be in the shade. Create a bit more depth, a bit more dimension. I'll add a bit of brown down here and down here as well. Great job. I'm also going to add a bit more color to my chestnut. I'm going to use a darker brown this time and use it to suggest shadows. I'll do the same here. I'll add a bit of a darker brown around here to give my chestnut a bit more dimension and a bit more roundness. I'll also add a bit more color here, and I leave a white gap here to suggest the light hitting the chestnut. Wonderful! And just like that, here we have it. We just painted our chestnut. They look amazing. I'm very happy with the painting, and I just had so much fun painting this. It's been very relaxing. I hope you found it relaxing too, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to find out more details about the watercolor sessions offered by Age UK, just follow the link that appears on the screen. Again, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye!